it going? Welcome to another webinar, probably, likely the most excited I've ever been about giving a webinar. So I'm just going to give it another minute or so to let more people come in. So if you have just joined us, let us know where you're from and whether or not it's snowing or it's chilly or it's lovely and toasty warm. So you can drop that into the questions just while we wait for the remaining stragglers to join up. So let us know where you're from and what the weather's like wherever you are. Oh, they're flooding in now. Flooding in now. So I'm going to start it off. Question, John. I'm in London and it's bloody freezing. Holly, Portsmouth. No snow today, but very chilly, I can imagine. But it's not chilly in this shed. It's like toast in here, I assure you. So let's give it another 30 seconds, and then we're going to launch into the webinar. The age of conversation, same question, different world. Emily, Portsmouth, it's also freezing. We've got Holly's in Chilly Hove. Andre, Lisbon, Portugal, sunny. Oh, damn it. Mayuri, Fareham was sunny in the morning. Wowzers. Cool. Okay, guys. One more. Lindsay, Orlando, Florida, sunny and warm. Well, I think you should be hosting the next webinar, Lindsay. I'll come across and we'll do it from your shed. Anyway, let's get into it. Order of the day. Usual processes. If you've got any questions, drop them into the questions. Just drop anything in there. I'm on my own in the shed today. It's freezing outside. The dog's locked out. So any feedback, questions would be amazing. You can send some feedback, some hearts, etc. through the channel as well. So all will be. Thank you, Emily. Gratefully received. Bella, thank you so much. Okay, so into today's story. Now, if you've been a regular attendee of my webinars, this is continuing that story. If you came to my BrightonSEO 2 or 3 weeks ago, then you'll find some parts of that in there, but I'm expanding. And there's a really exciting thing that happened yesterday. I'm going to be dropping that in about 10 minutes. But to begin with, while you keep giving me your details, let's just run a quick poll. There are 3 polls today. And the first poll, I just want your honest opinions as a searcher using Google's AI mode. Tell me what you think. Obviously, it's not available all around the world, but I just want to see. I don't use it or don't have access. I'm kind of hoping it goes away, said every SEO, or I love it and it's the future. But tell me from a searcher perspective. I love it and it's the future. You all know I love it and it's the future. And I think most of you are in agreement. Most of you are just looking. Oh, wow. Who do I see? Just seeing who's dropped in while I've been chatting. Ooh, loads of people. Wonderful. Okay. I think we can end that poll there. Okay. The majority, 57%. I love it and it's the future. In the middle, I'm kind of hoping it go away, say a quarter of you, and 20%, I don't use it or don't have access to it. So thank you so much. Now, it's clear that search is a crazy world right now. There's so much going on. It's so crazy, in fact, that Google describes what we're seeing in search right now as a frontier experience. And everybody uses frontier experience when something's very new and it might break. And as we kind of navigate this perilous journey of search and AI mode and AI overview and features and Gemini 3 and all of this sort of thing, Google's reminding us that things can change, things can break, things can come and things can go. But you know what? The one thing that's not going anywhere, the one thing that's here to stay is AI mode, which Google reminds us, and this was from, I think, September, October. Google said AI mode isn't just a search interface, it's a paradigm shift. And paradigm shifts are huge. So just a few come to mind. The theory of evolution, the industrial revolution, the digital revolution. Those were all paradigm shifts. And what's the one thing they have in common? Well, the one thing is that those people who didn't shift with the paradigm got left behind. So we need to shift with this shifting paradigm of search. And as much As much as I want to ignore all of this, as much as I want to bury my head in the sand, I can't. I've had to change. I've had to rethink everything. And on top of that message, Sundar Pichai said about 6 weeks ago, before the end of 2025, search is going to change profoundly. And what happened yesterday was mind-blowing. I barely slept because of what happened yesterday. So of course, Google starts to give us some advice. What do we need to do? Us content creators, us SEOs, what do we need to do to survive? Simply this. Google tells us optimizing for query intent and layered topic coverage may increasingly. Forget may increasingly. I insert in there 100% yes will help you outperform narrow keyword SEO. Let's pick this apart. So we're optimizing for intent rather than queries or keywords. Does keyword SEO still work? Yeah, it does. But who's using keywords? Not many people. And if they are, they won't be for much longer, because as soon as you go into the SERP and try and search, you're flipped into conversation. And as people, as searchers, as our customers are using conversational surfaces outside Google, like ChatGPT and Perplexity, etc., they're not doing Q&A. They're asking longer, more ambiguous, more complicated questions, and they're having a conversation. And that is where we are. Content today needs to be much more expansive. And Liz Reed was put on the spot a short while ago. Liz Reed, who's Google's Vice President of Search, she was asked, what do you mean? And Liz said, well, guys, you need to create richer and deeper content. And when probed, when pushed, what does that mean, Liz? She said, depth, uniqueness, and originality. If I take 3 words from this presentation and apply that to content, that's what it is. Depth. Show full mastery of the subject. Don't just answer the query, but the conversation around the query. You'll see that in a second. We've got to give those AI systems enough to understand and to trust and to want to reuse our unique content in synthesis. And we reduce ambiguity with depth. Uniqueness and originality. If you're saying the same thing that everybody else is saying, your content is not going to end up in the conversation. We need to inject fresh perspective and help AI to identify our content as being creative and original, not some templated guff that's just basically been over-optimized, as content has been for so long. And I blame SEOs, and I put my hand up, and I've been responsible for some of that. So probed a little bit further, Google. Help us, the community, know what we need to do. That's good advice. What do we need? Structured content that answers not just the first question, but the second and the third is more likely. Forget more likely. 100% yes, I insert in there. 100% more likely. So let's pick that apart. Structure. We think structure, we think schema. Yeah, schema more important than ever, especially in a run up to Christmas. But also think about structure in terms of structuring chunks of meaningful content that matches intent for synthesization. And this, guys, is so important to understand right now, because this is how conversations work. They head forwards. And as we head forwards, we've got to remember we're no longer chasing keywords, we're chasing intent. But for some reason, people stop at the start, forgetting it's a conversation. So Google's gone a little bit further and tells us that we should, no, not should, we must anticipate multi-turn searches. It's absolutely critical. So if I'm looking for a beauty advent calendar, and last year, if I was optimizing, I think best beauty advent calendars, URL maybe, title, header 1, meta description, in the content, internal links, etc. Quality signals, helpful content, double it. I'm there. No, not anymore. Because I need to think, are any of these advent calendars suitable for men or for me? That could be a question I would ask. And what are the best ones? So I've got to not just think about optimizing for that query, I've got to optimize for that wraparound of intent. And this next bit is interesting, and it's crucial, guys, because when we think about content, when we think, oh, by the way, any questions, drop them in there. If you've got any questions, I'll try and answer them on the fly. But if I don't get around to it, I'll try and answer them at the end. And I guarantee if we don't get back, or I don't get back to your questions today, then I promise you I will reach out over the coming days and certainly tomorrow. So, yeah, we used to think about content as words, but it's so much more than that. It's so much more than that. Because Google's telling us visual and audio content will, it does. We've seen it. We've got the data. Will surface more easily. Think voice search optimization. Now, there's a subject I haven't talked about for a while, but Google's getting serious about voice content. And how do we know it's getting serious about voice content? Because it's actually added a new feature that I'm going to talk about shortly. And Google says video-based responses, and I say absolutely 100%. Underline that in blue. Thank you for your question, Sarah. I'm going to come back to that because that's really important. So video is crucial. And here you can see a screenshot from Pi. It looks like the Large Hadron Collider, but there's an explosion of features into SERP over a week-long period of time in the world of fashion. Video carousel at 11 o'clock, video links, AI. I mean, video, half of the content in AI mode is coming from the videos that we're creating, and people want to consume video content. Here, let's take a look at this sector. Video carousel presence in beauty in a subcategory, which I think is, I think it was, what is it? It's eyes. So it's eye makeup, eyeliner, all that malarkey. In 3 months, we've seen a 42% increase in video content. Video has to be a part of all of our toolkits, guys. If we're not using video, then we are truly missing out, because this is happening outside of all of the AI fuss. And look at this chart. Look at those top creators in a really powerful SERP. It's not brands, it's individuals. These are creators. These are winning. These are stealing a march on the big brands. What do they have in common? They're all people. I'm guessing they're young. They might not be. But these are the people you need to be connecting with. They are creating fast content. Remember, first-hand, authentic, social, trusted. That's what's working in the SERP today. They don't even care about AI, but yet they are winning. They are winning in AI surfaces, and they are winning across the board because of their wonderful, authentic videos. That's a great example, and that is going across so many sectors. But with that said, we need to pause just for a second. We need to pause because all the AI stuff that we are worrying about, whether it's AI mode or ChatGPT or Perplexity, and am I in there, am I not, all of this, we got to pause and remember Google is on a 4-step trajectory, and there it is. And I've talked about this before. Multimodal, yeah, we're in there. Visualization, holy heck, what happened yesterday? I'm going to show you. And these will stack. Google's not going to do one and forget about it, tick that box and move on. These are combining. Visualization and multimodal is going to enable personalization, which we've built into our agents down the line. So multimodal, I mentioned voice. Google dropped quietly a couple of weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, new technology called speech to retrieval. And if you've ever used voice search, what Google used to do, used to use your voice and used to translate it directly into text. But no. So what it's doing is translating your voice into vectors that represent intent or meaning. And that's wild, which means that when you use voice to search, the satisfaction of responses is going to skyrocket. But what I want to talk about for the next 5 minutes is something wild. That's why I'm standing for this one. Visualization. I saw this coming. I called this out 6 months ago at brightonSEO, the trajectory. Forget AI for a moment. Think visualization. What happened yesterday? Gemini 3 wowzers, launched straight into AI mode for the first time ever. For the first time ever. And what does it do? I need to show you because I can't explain it. I can't explain it, but we've got these incredible new UI features. We can interact with the SERP in a way that we never have done. And don't think boring old mortgage calculators. Get more exciting than that. A deeper, smarter fan out that works like nothing else. And responses tailored to queries, shortly tailored to the individual. How does it work? Well, it works if you're in the US. Other countries are available, but it's only there at the US for the moment. I actually chatted to somebody from Google the other day about why these things are slow to roll out. But anyway, in the US, in AI mode, you can select thinking mode, 3 Pro reasoning and generative layouts. Wowzers, generative layouts. So anyway, I was traveling on a train yesterday, and I was traveling from London to Brighton when I saw this. So I quickly fired up the VPN, went straight to Long Island, and I thought, what can I really? How can I test this? How can I test it? So I thought, why don't I try and ask it to simulate the Large Hadron Collider, and let's see if we can smash some atoms, as you do on a train ride. It was probably the most exciting train ride I've been on in a long time. Could you build me a simulator? I'm just in regular search AI mode, nothing special. Loading the content. It's built me the LHC in this form here. You can dial up, you can send the beams around. Once they reach 100%, you can collide them and boom, all of this happens. But I'm not just showing you this because it looks pretty. This is capability. This is in the SERP now. Okay. Another visualization. Let's work out the 3-body problem. Can you help me understand that? And 5 minutes later, after that simulation, I understood it like I'd never before. And of course, it's unsolvable. But here's a practical example, guys. Here's a practical one. I'm going to buy a camera. I need help making a decision. This is my query. I'm looking to buy a camera for under 1,500 quid that's good for street photography. But they have so many features, and I want to make sure I get value. Help me decide. Value versus features? Wow. So I can actually dial this in, and I can say, add some more features. So I've got this interactive module within regular AI mode that's helping me make a decision and solve a problem. And that for me is extraordinary. And then just for fun, I asked it, explain what's going on in regard to the great decoupling, or the alligator or the crocodile, or whatever you want to call it, the decoupling of impressions from traffic. Look at this, an interactive simulator that I can actually work with. And it's estimating my organic click-through rate drop, etc. I mean, that for me is absolutely mind-blowing. So more from capability. I've got to stop for a poll. I've got to stop for a poll. What do you make of all this? Honestly, I'm terrified. It's just a gimmick. It's a demonstration of the incredible insert capability. I didn't even finish that one. I was obviously far too excited, but that third one is about the capability of interaction and the possibilities that that entails. I think I'm terrified as well as excited. It's just a gimmick. Oh, who said that? Who said that? Who said that? A few people. Anyway, the majority, well, 70% of you wonderful people think it's a demonstration of things to come, of capability more than anything. But I tell you what, when I think about complex shopping decisions relating to complex products and services, that's where I'm going. Allow me to adjust the dials to suit me. This is where personalization is really starting to come in, because depending on how you search, the SERP is going to look very different for you. Okay, now, after the pause, that's enough for now. Let's get back in to the biggest question I'm sure on all of your minds right now, today. Okay, the biggest question is, how are we doing in AI search? Are we in ChatGPT? Are we in AI mode? How are we doing? And how's it all working? And how do we optimize for it? That's the question. It is the question, but I tell you what, before we even think about that, we need to address these two elephants in the room. Elephant number one. Am I in ChatGPT? I'll go and take a look. Am I in AI mode? I'll go and take a look. I'll search for my product. What you see is going to be probably very different from what your audience is seeing at prompt level. Elephant two, you can't even answer this because it's a conversation. So presence at the start doesn't work for anyone. So let's get into same question, different world. And I'm going to use an example to show how exactly the same query can give you very different results, depending on how you use Google. So should I get a gas or a charcoal barbecue? It's a good question. It's a good question. Black Friday, just around the corner next week. I can go to AI mode to get a wonderful synthesized answer, or I can click Google search, get some blue links, but I'm not going to see them anyway because there's an AI overview. So I go through one way through the AI overview and the other straight to AI mode. What am I looking at? I'm looking at two different things, guys. Two different, because if I go into AI overview first and then dive deeper, Google employs the principle of contextual carryover, which means it knows what I've already read. So we're seeing stateful search. Stateful equals personalized. I get a deeper, richer, and more interesting and informative result when I take that. So if you're asking the question, or you've been asked the question, am I in AI mode? How did they get there? How was the route? And I bet they didn't just stop there. That's a conversation. That's a conversation. And what about good old ChatGPT, where it all started late 2022, that changed everything and turned all of our worlds on our heads? We are months away from mass adoption. What does that mean? Think of the old adoption chart, innovators, early adopters, early majority, that's 20%. That is mass adoption. So we got that part of the tail. And when people search in ChatGPT, they don't use queries. They don't use keywords. They do use long queries. And that same behavior comes back to Google. But what about the results? I search in ChatGPT exactly the same question as somebody next to me. Question, what are the top co-op board games now in the UK? My results completely different. Exactly the same. This means you cannot chase keywords and prompts. You have to chase intent. You've got to ride that elephant or whatever it is of intent. But we have to remember that things don't stop here. Things don't stop here. It's a conversation. A conversation that we seem to have forgotten about. A conversation that I'm obsessed with. So remember, this is a paradigm shift. And for anyone that doesn't believe it's a conversation when using AI surfaces, anyone who thinks it's still keywords, take a look at this data. LLM queries average 23 words. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again, 23. 23, that's 2 words. It doesn't sound like much. But when you compare queries with the same intent, here's one, best men's blazers. 3 words, 23. What are the best men's blazers for men in winter 2025 that are suitable for smart and casual for less than 300 quid? That's 23. Well, give and take 1 or 2. Completely different. Completely different. And you get 100 people in a room and you ask them to describe their perfect blazer, you get 100 different ways of doing it. Again, level up. Chase intent. Don't chase keywords. Don't chase prompts. 70%, I say no. Probably 80. 90% of questions are unique. And it's no longer a Q&A. It's a learning experience, and it's stateful. We've seen that. We saw that example as you pass through AI overview on your way to AI mode. It remembers, and when you continue those conversations, that's all stateful, and that's important. So it's a conversation, which means it's absolute madness, I think, to judge the performance of your brand in any AI surface based upon the first iteration, the first Q&A. And that's exactly the same as standing or judging a marathon by who crosses the first 100 meters on their way to the 26 miles. Because the last time I was watching a marathon, I'll tell you who crossed the line at 100 meters. It was a pantomime horse, followed by a guy dressed as a fridge and somebody else with an ironing board. None of those made it past the 100 meters, past the first part of the conversation. We don't need to be like that. We need to follow the direction of the conversation and the dialogue, which is absolutely crucial. Last poll, guys. How long do you spend when you're searching for something, either in AI mode or ChatGPT or Perplexity or any such other AI surface? Claude. Wowzers. Okay, about the same time, 12, 11, 14, twice as much time, 35%. Okay, the majority, 50%. I thought it might be more than that, a lot longer with multiple follow-ups. Okay, because that's definitely where it's headed. About the same time, 17%. And I wonder if those people, if you're still using keywords, I don't know. I'd love to talk to you. I want to get inside your mind. I want to find out how you're searching. Okay, let's continue. So we know that people don't stop at the first interaction. We know it's conversational, 23 words and more, multi-turn, stateful search. So we've started to think about ways of calculating presence, not at the start, but throughout an entire conversation. And there are so many ways that you could do this. So I'm going to show you a simple visualization of how we do this. And in order to do a calculation like that, you need three things. You need the initial query or the prompt. Actually, no, you don't. You need the intent, but you can fabricate that with a synthetic prompt. You need the second thing. You need the results from the SERP, from the AI overview, wherever it is. And thirdly, you need to be able to predict the next questions. But if you've got the first two, you can make the predictions. You don't even need to predict the next questions if you're using AI mode in the States, because as I said this a year ago, when we truly trust AI mode, those conversation pills are going to come back. So now we've got it all. We got the initial query or the intent behind it. We've got the result and we've got the follow-ups. We can build out conversations. What if I'm not in the US? What if I don't have a proxy? What if I'm in France and I can't even get AI mode? Oh my word, I'm sorry guys. What? Well, you can use Perplexity's Comet browser. It's got a built-in agent or assistant that will do the same job. Now, if you got a phone, get it ready. It's a QR code on the next slide. Because if you haven't got that and you can't be bothered with goofing around with proxies, download that. Give you 15 seconds to screenshot that. That is a GPT that will actually predict those questions for you. As it says there, I use the principle of contextual carryover. Okay, I think, has that been dropped in? You don't even have to click it. It's been dropped in. Thank you, Bella. Very kind. So, three ingredients. We've got the initial prompt or the intent behind it. We've got the result and we've got the follow-up questions. Let's forget thinking about topics and keyword groups and subgroups, etc. Let's start to think about conversations that people are having. Let's get back to barbecues. Now, I might decide there are 5 conversations. Fuel and power. Yeah, I'm getting in there because I'm going to talk about charcoal. Health and safety. Boring as heck. That sucks. But if people are interested in asking about the safety of barbecue, I need to get in that conversation. I need to get in there. I need to create some content. What sort of content do I need? Content that's deep, unique, and original. Thank you, Liz Reed from Google. Maintenance, just so anyway, I decide where I want to inject my content into the conversation for synthesization, remember? And I can build out a flow. Turn 1, turn 2, turn 3. Green, I'm in there. Red, I'm not. Am I missing any gaps? Are there conversations? Are there conversations I should be in? I've got a better visualization. I'm going to show you what we do in Pi, which will blow your mind. But we can then map and score these. But we have to think, which conversations are important to my brand, to me? The conversations that people are having, and where are they having those conversations? And increasingly, they're on surfaces outside of Google, okay? Make Reddit your friend. Love it or hate it. Make Reddit your friend and build up your karma score. Measure your presence in those conversations. And if you don't know how to do that, reach out, get in touch. I'll help you. We'll help you. But above all, do you care about the conversations? I didn't really care about the health and safety one. It sounded a bit boring. But my customers care. My potential clients. So I need to start caring and creating deep, rich, or deep, unique, and original content. So in Pi, we visualize this rather beautifully here. This is those barbecue conversations. Who's winning it here? So in this view here, we can differentiate between the domains that are most cited versus the brands that get the most mentions. And it's obvious that Weber, love a good Weber, we've got 3 out there. Weber's dominating the conversation across all those subtopics, all those mini conversations. Everything from which fuel to use to how to maintain, and even the best recipes. Whereas, where is it? Argos, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, Argos. Argos aren't doing so well. They're not in most of those conversations, so they're just being left out. Argos could make a choice here. There's some conversations there I want to be a part of and jump in there. It's content. Remember, and it's not just words, content. Don't forget your video. That applies so much here. Let's look at some other areas. Let's broaden out. It's Black Friday next week, and it's Christmas soon. It's the gifting season. Gifting season. So when it comes to gifting, in this analysis here of the conversation in ChatGPT alone, the most mentioned brand is Red Letter Days. Boom, with that big explosion. They're talking a lot about experience gifts. Of course, that's their bag. Okay. Where are we? So yeah. So, but even they are left out of the conversation when it comes to gifts for her and sustainable gifting. So they might say, okay, there's a lot of interest about sustainability around gifting. That's a conversation we need to be a part of. They can grow their voice even bigger. And then Virgin, however, covers all the conversations. But Virgin weren't listening to Liz Reed. Let's remember, depth, uniqueness, and originality. That's what Virgin needs right there. And that will grow their voice in that conversation. Remember that it doesn't just start at the start point. Okay. Now, because Pi is an agnostic platform, you can look to see how everybody's performing. So in gifting, here's the independent. I love to have a little poke at the independent. This time they're doing a bit better than average in pink, but you can see their presence in the conversation is higher in citations and lower some days. So it's very, very dynamic, very dynamic. The dotted line, that's the average. So they've got most citations for gifts for her, as you can see that on the right. And in this view, we can start to see how your site is working and from where in your site content is being synthesized the most. Where is the LLM having a good time? Which parts of your site are being left out? Is your blog out in the cold because you've generated all your content with AI, or it's too similar? LLMs hate similarity. Be unique. And this view provides a really deep understanding of how well structured our sites are. And then here's another view. Okay, in this view, we're looking at Fortnum and Mason. I walked past it the other day. Can't afford to go in there, so I look at it online. Not only can we discover which domains are talking about you, your brand, and getting which domains are doing the work for you, doing the heavy lifting and pushing you into the conversation. And here we can also gauge sentiment. And of course, with Fortnum & Mason, other than the price, sentiment is perfect. Okay, there is no room for neutrality here because that would start to appear in different shades on the chart, and negatives would be reds below the line. So they're actually doing super well. So just a few minutes left, and then I hope you've got some questions. If you've got any questions, just start to drop them in there into the questions, where it says questions. But for me, I think the one thing I would really like to use to summarize all of this is that much of this is a state of mind. And we are moving from this high volume, low intent, so really high volume, really low intent digital economy to an entirely new paradigm, a paradigm defined by low volume, much higher intent interactions. And this, guys, demands a strategic pivot. But before that, it demands a change of state of mind. And I now think solely about riding that wave of intent. And remember, this is a conversation now, so it's finally time to look beyond page one. Think about the conversations that are important, not just to you, but to your audience, like that health and safety one. Can you value conversations? Of course you can, because conversations and strings are nothing but words, and words alone have value. So we can use the old AdWords as a currency by which we can measure the value of conversations beautifully. But plan for journeys, not just Q&A. It's not just a backwards and forwards, and look beyond page one. So before we get into questions in the remaining 8 minutes, here's a question for you. And if you haven't seen Pi for a while, and you haven't explored the LLM capability and the ability to mind the conversation and really understands what's going on in that fuzzy AI world, in this frontier experience, then just click a yes on there. So yes, a few yeses, a couple of no's. Oh, my heart kind of breaks when I see that. I'm already a customer. I love you. If you're not a customer, I love you anyway. Just for being here. Wonderful. So I think Q&A time. So I'm just going to slide my. Do I need my screen? Do I need the screen for that? Okay, I'm just going to bring the questions over here where I can actually see them. So bear with me 1 second. Oh my word, my screens are everywhere. Too many screens. Where are we? So, okay, questions. Sarah said, how do you approach optimizing creating content by intent versus keywords? Would you put it in wider buckets of commercial information, or would you go more specific? Oh man, it's a great question, Sarah. So I'm just going to drag it here so I can actually look at that question properly. Creating content by intent. So don't worry about diving straight into intent. Start thinking about conversations. What in the same way that we used to take our content universe and replicate that with equivalent keywords divided into keyword groups and then subgroups, etc. All of that. I like to start. So you can start off with your content universe and then think about the key conversations people are going to be having. And within those conversations, you can build synthetic prompts, okay? Because you don't need to worry about the accuracy of the actual prompt, because we can never optimize that. We can only optimize for intent. So you can get AI to help you with that. And if you want some information on how we do that, then just reach out, Sarah, and we would love to take you through how we actually do that in practice. So wonderful. Now, what else have we got? Any other questions? For the fan out queries, multi-turn, this is from Angie. Oh, I'm going to try to apply it to B2B audiences with lead gen website. I need to get, I can't read the rest of that. Okay. Why not call our lovely sales? I need to get a customer. The question is, why not call our lovely sales team? So I'm struggling to read. Would this work? Oh, that's a question. Cara, would this work? How would this work for YMYL industries like law? Okay, let's all go back in time for about 18 months. Everybody said, oh, you're never going to get YMYL content into the AI mode or into AI overview, but you actually absolutely do. YMYL content, it's just as important. Let me just focus back to the question. Oh my God, I've lost it. We talk about How would this work for YMYL? It works in exactly the same way, but for YMYL, you obviously have to think more about the creator of the content than anything else. Just think about the creator. Double E, that creator, verifiable experience. And I say this till I'm blue in the face, but nobody does it. Expertise, demonstrate the expertise, not of the content, but of the creator of the content. Authority, more important than ever, as the web is flooded with vanilla AI, guff, and rubbish content. Stand out with your creators. This is going to affect or going to impact who people employ to create content. And I was asked a while back to build a GPT for somebody who could actually analyze the double E credentials of potential content creators. So unique content, and I would say also, even for YMYL, fast content is still crucial. So in law, so I'm sure the examples of really good cases or case studies, etc., make them super authentic and trusted, first-hand, authoritative, social, and trusted. And YMYL is not exempt from YouTube either, so you can still use those videos as well for Q&A answers. That'll get you read and digested more than some boring slides or words. Right, 41, a few minutes left. How should I approach a large established website with a huge number of pages? Wowzers. And to be honest, that's probably for most people. That's probably for most people. And you approach that in the same way that you would approach a small site, a little at a time. Number one, your basic fundamentals of SEO have to be absolutely dialed in. There is no room for error here. More important, because there are spam updates coming, and I'm sure before Christmas there's going to be one. So doubling down on your content, really, guys, depth, uniqueness, and originality will uprank, says Liz Reed, and it will. Layered content, layered topic coverage. Don't shove it all on one page. If there are natural progressions in conversation and direction, then build out pages, but for goodness sake, link effectively. Horizontal linking. So, I mean, yeah, there's, can the Pi Conversation Buddy also measure share of voice or other metric? I tell you what, download it and take a look. It does some really rather cool things. Do we have resources, pricing, leaderboards, etc. for not-for-profits and charities? Well, that's a good question, Catherine. We may well have. I should know the answer, but I will get the team to have a look and we will get back to you. And if we're not, maybe that's something we can think about doing. I'm actually having a conversation with somebody tomorrow who's also working in the charity sector, who reach out to say, we just don't know what to do. And I'd say, guys, for anyone out there who needs some quality analysis of their site or some really good understanding or pivot and direction in all of this, please reach out. Connect up with Pi, connect up with me on LinkedIn, reach out. We're always here to help. And if I haven't got round to your questions today, and I'm not going to get through them all because some are a bit more complex and I'd like to actually write out a response, I will start feeding back on those tomorrow. If we were to make a short TikTok, is it worth embedding on the blog that talks about it? Yeah, I'd say absolutely, why not? And talking of TikTok, has any of you guys noticed the amount of X, slush, or Twitter, as it was formerly known as, appearing in Google Discover? It's destroying Google Discover. I used to love Google Discover. It's absolutely trashed. Why is it trashed? Because Google knows that Gen Z are not using it anymore, so it's bringing in everything else that it thinks they are using. They're using Twitter? Absolutely not. Who uses Twitter? SEOs, and that's about it. And rich people with more money and no sense. Okay, so there are some other questions, but it's 4:45 on a Thursday. It's cold outside, except for our friends in Orlando, Florida. If you have any other questions, drop them, email, reach out, do it on LinkedIn. I promise you, I will get back to you. And potentially, we can always jump on a video call and have a chat if that's easier. So for now, I just want to say thank you. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate you for doing that. And if you're watching this on video later and you want some more information, once again, just reach out. But for now, have a wonderful evening, Friday, happy Friday for tomorrow, and a great weekend. And see you on the next one. That's going to be even more exciting. So thanks, everybody.